Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org with a video tutorial for the new Boston. In this video we're going to look at the submit event handler in jQuery. Now the submit event handler essentially just checks for a form submission. So in this tutorial I'm going to outline an example of an email newsletter sign up. We're obviously not going to be creating the functionality to actually sign a user up. However, we're going to be creating the outline of this so that you can go ahead and validate and then insert a data into a database, for example. So let's go ahead and outline or draw up the HTML for this, just so we know what we're doing. And we can see the example on the screen. I'm going to create a form with an action of hash, so we don't actually submit the form. I'm then going to give this an ID as signup_form. I'll go ahead and end the form, and now we have our actual form. Now remember, the ID is where we reference, so we're going to be referencing signup_form when we check for the form submission. I'm go ahead and create a couple of paragraph tags, and I'm going to put first of all in here email, and then an input area, so an input type of email. The ID of this is going to be user_email, and in this paragraph area I'm going to put the registration button or the submit button, so submit there, and the value sign up. So some pretty standard markup, quite easy to understand. So when we type in the user's email, or the user types in their email, we want to click sign up. You'll notice that I'm using HTML5, so if I was to, for example, type Alex and press sign up, HTML5 automatically validates the email address on the front end for us. However, if you were to, for example, use this as just text, you would not have that validation in place. So let's go over to our text editor and start to think about what we need to do. Now we first of all need to create an external JavaScript file which is going to handle the event. So let's create a new file in our text editor, and I'm going to call this submit.js. Now that we've got submit.js, this is where our event handler is going to be placed. However, we need to include this into our page. So let's go ahead and type script type equals text/JavaScript. The source is going to be js/submit.js, and we can end the script there. So now that we've included submit.js into our page, we can actually go ahead and start to write this. Now the first thing we need to do is check for the event handler. We need to check that the submit has happened on the form. Currently, if we check, we click submit and nothing actually happens. So inside submit.js we need to create an event handler for this, so we use $, and then inside we reference the form that we want to use the submit event handler on, which is signup_form. Now we need to use .submit as the event handler. Inside of the parentheses we need to create a function that's going to be run when this event handler is triggered. So that's function, and then our block. Inside of our block we need to write our code, so we can just pull that down. Now inside of here we want to write the code that's going to be performed when we actually submit the form. So at the moment we could test this by saying alert and submitted. So inside of our browser, let's refresh and click sign up. You'll see that we get the alert box submitted. So let's return to our text editor and start to retrieve this email value here, and then we can relay it back to the user. Now we want to relay it inside of a div which is just below the sign up form. So I'm going to call this sign up feedback. Now the reason I call it sign up feedback, this could be an area, for example, where you want to feedback either an error or a confirmation message to say that the user's email address has been registered. So we're going to pull that up for now because we're going to use the jQuery HTML function to insert our feedback into here. So inside submit.js we want to first of all take the value of the user's email. So I'm creating a new variable called user_email, and that's going to be equal to, again, the reference of sign. Oh no, it's not. It's the reference of user email, remember? So user email dot val. We use the val function to take the current value inside of this field here. So now that we have this user email variable stored, we can go ahead and relay it back into our user or our sign up feedback div. So we reference this again with a $, and inside of here sign up feedback. Then we can say .html, and inside of here we can put some string data that the HTML that we want to put into the div. So for now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type something like thanks, your email. In fact no, we can just say thanks and then plus, so we're appending on a value, and that value is user_email, and then plus to append the rest of the text has been signed up. So bear in mind that if you wanted to actually create this into a functional application and actually store this email address, you would write the code, say here, for example, an AJAX request to post this to a PHP page, which would then in turn insert the value into the database, or it would return an error. So you'd create this code here. However, obviously in this tutorial we're just looking at the event itself, so we're not going to actually get into that. So now what's going to happen is once the form has been submitted, we grab the user's email, referencing this email field here, and we then relay it back to the user inside the sign up feedback div that we created under the form. So really this could go anywhere. For example, up here, it doesn't matter where we place it, it's still going to reference that object. So let's go ahead and refresh. When I click sign up, we don't have any validation in place, so we will just get a blank email in our div. However, let's go ahead and properly register. So I'm going to type in my email address and I'm going to click sign up. Oh, okay. So the problem here is that the hash obviously has actually submitted this, so I'm just going to get rid of that there and refresh, and we'll see if that's worked. So alex@phpacademy.org, I'm going to click sign up, and you'll see that we get this message up here, thanks, alex@phpacademy.org has been signed up. So this is a front-end example of how you would use submit to actually handle form submission in jQuery. And you can see that the front end is now complete, we just don't have the back-end validation. So just by using the submit handler, we've created an email sign-up front-end application, if you like, or the front-end design and the functionality. We just don't have the rest in place to store the email.